Support WrestleTalk!
Hello, welcome to this WrestleTalk reactive news video. I am Joel P. Quinell. I'm joined by Randy Andy Datson, and we're going to be reacting today to the news that apparently WWE are interested in signing Matt Taven.
We've met him.
We
He's
have.
sat here before.
On the different table, not this one.
Yeah, he won't remember this table. If he came in here right now, he'd go, "What the hell?
Yeah.
That's not the same table."
One of probably the most infamous WrestleTalk podcast episodes we've ever had. People really liked that episode.
And Triple H was watching, and he went, "That's the kind of guy I need in my company."
That guy who's tanking the crap wrestling gimmick segment?
Yeah, well...
Need
well,
him.
Triple H doesn't want crap wrestling gimmicks. He wants good wrestling gimmicks.
He wants good ones, exactly,
in his
yes.
company, so I can see why he'd want Matt Taven.
Absolutely, yeah. So Matt Taven is part of the faction called Honor No More, who's been working in Impact lately. Also alongside Mike Bennett, Maria Kanellis, Vincent as well.
Vince McMahon.
Part of that. As part of another report that came out recently, Vincent and Dutch, who hold the six-man tag titles, with Bateman in Ring of Honor, the Ring of Honor six-man titles, they were backstage at Raw this week as well. So it seems that there's a lot of like former Ring of Honor stars that are being brought into WWE lately, if the reports are to be believed. It comes from Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio, the reported interest in Matt Taven from WWE. Matt Taven is a former Ring of Honor World Champion.
Yep.
Guy's been kind of top of that company for a little bit. He's got a great catchphrase.
I'm Matt Taven.
That's it. That's the whole thing.
So just before this, we were just chatting, and I read Matt Taven, and I went, "I'm Matt Taven," and he went, "That's his actual catchphrase," and so I should be a catchphase writer.
You should, clearly.
Hire me.
That must be it. Alongside this as well, another name has reportedly finished up their time with Impact, being Mia Yim, who, of course, used to be
Retaliation.
Reckoning.
Was she Reckoning?
Yep, she was Reckoning.
Oh yeah, because Retaliation was
Mercedes
Martinez. Yeah,
Mercedes
sorry.
Martinez,
yeah, well, they were all so good. It's hard to remember. So the report from Dave is that Triple H has basically come home and his mum's gone, "Oh, I've sold all of your toys." And then he's got to go back on eBay and hope that people are now selling them again.
Yeah.
And he's gone, "Oh, good, my Mia Yim's back in stock."
Exactly, yeah.
So he looks like he's basically trying to get everyone that Vince got rid of, all of his favorites from NXT. He's now gone, "I know, I really like them. I'm going to bring them back." And for good reason. Mia Yim's fantastic.
Yeah.
And all the guys he's brought in so far have been fantastic. So I can absolutely see why he's doing it. Most of them have been fantastic, and so I can see why he's doing it.
Yeah, I totally understand. And if this is to be believed, if they are going to be interested in Matt Taven, there's also another report that New Japan are interested in getting Taven and Bennett and Kanellis as part of like bringing in that sort of like Honor No More faction over there as well. So if WWE are interested in Matt Taven, do you think they will also be interested in getting in Bennett and Kanellis as well? Bearing in mind that Bennett and Kanellis have already been in WWE and they had the brief run on the main roster as well.
They did. Not a good one, but...
Great theme song, though. What a banger.
The feeling for me is that Maria Kanellis is incredibly respected around, especially women's wrestling and stuff, all the work she's done with Ring of Honor. Mike Bennett's great. So, and honestly, I feel like if I was in that situation, if I was Matt Taven or if I was Mike Bennett, Maria Kanellis, and I had got a call from current New Japan and the current WWE, there is only one place I'm going. I think if WWE come calling, then if they want all of them, then they should bring them all in as a group. I know there's a lot of factions in WWE right now.
That's honestly an interesting point, because I think in the new Triple H era, we've seen a lot of people coming back. But not only it's just individuals returning, but we've seen the kind of the rebirth of a ton of factions in WWE. I have a list right here.
Oh, wow, that's lucky.
Right now. Isn't it convenient that I made one of these beforehand? Let me just list some factions for you, just on the main roster. The Brawling Brutes, Imperium, the Bloodline, Damage Catal, the Club, or the OC, whatever, Judgment Day, Hit Row, Maximum Male Models, Legado del Fantasma, the Viking Raiders, now they're going to be paired up with Sarah Logan as well. That will now be a faction. Technically the New Day, but... Big E status still currently unknown. And there's the rumored Wyatt 6, whatever that may be as well. That's a potential one as well. Then you have stuff on NXT like Gallus and Joe Gacy and whatever the Dyad?
The Dyad. It's a good one.
I really miss Grizzled Young Veterans.
It's my favourite.
And also like Diamond Mine. I think that's still a thing. I don't know. But like there's a ton of factions in WWE right now. Do you think there are too many?
Yes.
Why is that?
Here's why. Well, I I do miss days where kind of people were sort of more individual. I know there are lots of wrestlers who are still individual, but it feels like every other match is, oh, well, it's him of the thing against him of the thing. Like we've got, and I know that the Brawling Brutes versus Imperium has been fantastic generally. Like I know the end of last week's SmackDown was a bit of kind of, what was that? But in general, all of the matches are great, and that's fine. The matches themselves are perfectly good. However,
I call them great.
He'd call them great.
I would.
It just feels like everyone has to be in a faction these days, or to kind of be pushed properly. I know that Triple H has always been a big fan of factions. He came out in his own faction on Raw and was old for 15 to 20 minutes. It just feels like maybe some people should be left out of factions.
I disagree. I love factions. I think they're so great, and I think there's so much upside to having loads of factions in a company, in that people who aren't in matches can still be featured on screen. People still have a chance to get over with a crowd and stuff like that and still be featured and talked about, even when they're not wrestling in a match.
I do find it difficult to kind of immerse myself in wrestling. As you know, like I need to be completely in it to enjoy it properly.
Right.
Now, I struggle when I know that something is going to happen.
Right.
And often with factions, you're like, well, they're just going to interfere at some point. Or, well, I know that he's just going to do. I know he's going to get disqualified, or I know he's going to do this. Like knowing like if I'm watching any sports, if I know the result before it happens, I'm not going to enjoy it as much. And so if I'm standing there and I'm watching Rey Mysterio take on Judgment Day, I'm like, well, Dominic's going to get involved. Well, Rhea Ripley's probably going to get involved. Well, Damian Priest is probably going to get involved. And so it does dilute the enjoyment for me. And when there are just so many factions and so many matches which are, oh, well, he won because of a distraction, or there was a distraction, or they tried to distract him, then I'm like, can't I just have two guys wrestling and then there's a clean finish?
Well, I think that's probably more of an issue with WWE's booking than the idea of factions. I think the idea of factions is very, very good. And I think, they might be let down a little bit by WWE's booking a little bit in that regard. But I also I also like the somewhat the predictability, like you're saying, of people getting involved, because then they can subvert expectations, be like, they got involved, but they managed to overcome it, or things like that. There's flips to that scenario where you're conditioned to think a certain thing, but then something else happens, and that's when you can get shock stuff like someone turns on their own faction. You go, oh my god, I actually didn't see that coming. Like that's huge moments. And also, I like it when wrestlers have friends. I hate it when one person is the only person that they care about, and they're in a feud with this other person, and nobody else in their world exists, Yeah. And granted, you don't have to have factions to have friends. You can have, like, people just helping each other out.
You're a heel too.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But I think having factions is an easy way to determine and to get across to a casual viewer, or even more hardcore viewers, who their allies are.
What's the difference between a faction and a stable?
They're the same thing.
Okay.
No, the synonyms.
Faction sounds cooler because it sounds
faction
like
sounds
kind of
way cooler.
A group of like an army.
Yeah.
Like, oh well, like Red Faction. The game. You never played Red Faction? Pete's an idiot. Everyone comment.
On the subject of WWE returns / debuts, though, and there might be one other name that might be returning to WWE before long, because another report has come out that says that Bronson Reed, JONAH is heading back to WWE. I'm a huge Bronson Reed mark. I love that guy. I was so sad because we were going to watch him at Royal Quest 2, and he's supposed to have a match against Ishii, and I'm like, that is my match.
Too.
I'm so looking forward to that. And
Did
then
you watch it?
JONAH couldn't make it.
So,
I didn't get to see that. Match they had instead was great, by the way. Just want to point that out, but it wasn't Bronson Reed, and that made me sad.
Bronson Reed was really one of those names where everyone went, huh? When they released him.
Yeah. Because he'd just been North American champion.
Yeah.
He'd just beaten Johnny Gargano in like a cage match and stuff. And he was like, cool. He's been having dark matches on the main roster.
Yeah.
He is ready. He's the perfect Vince McMahon guy.
And he's such a unique wrestler because they've got guys with his sort of body shape, like an Otis or someone like that, who Otis is great. But Bronson Reed could really hold his own as like a single wrestler. And he did over and over again. And then they went, nah, do you know what? Off you pop. And then he's been doing some fantastic work since he's left. And it's absolutely no surprise, again, with like someone like me or Yim, it's no surprise that Triple H is going, man, I can't, like, it sort of held his tongue when Vince McMahon was going, oh, off you go. And now he's in charge. He's going, oh, thank God. Right, do you mind coming back? Because he's gone. So you can, if you just sneak in through the back door, you'll be fine. I would imagine he's going to go straight onto the main roster.
I'd assume so. And this, for clarity's sake as well, this report originally came from Andrew Zarian, saying that Bronson Reed's heading back to WWE. But there was an added bit from Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio, noting that JONAH faced Okada at New Japan Declaration of Power.
Yes.
And afterwards, they shared a handshake in the ring. And they didn't say that, like, oh, this is the finale of JONAH or anything. But it's like a kind of an element of being like, okay, this is like his final match. This is where
leaving.
Exactly, yeah. Okada's leaving New Japan.
Going back to Impact.
Yeah.
A fantastic run.
That's exactly it. Yeah. So, and this is just speculation on Meltzer's part to be like, it's a handshake. You don't have to read too much into it, but there is an element of it that maybe this is hinting towards JONAH leaving New Japan and heading back towards WWE. And for one, I would bloody love it if that happens. I love Bronson Reed. Give me more Bronson Reed.
Yeah.
That's going to do it for this episode of The Reactive News. Thank you so much for watching. Really do appreciate it. I've been Chopper Pete. Hope join me, Randy Andy Datson. Subscribe to the channel and like the video if you want more. And we'll see you in another video soon. Jam that jam.